Hey everyone, this is Kate Weatherwise, your favorite weather girl, coming to you on Thursday, February 5th, 2026. It is 8:30 on the Pacific Coast, which means it is 11:30 on the East Coast. Now, what this weather video is going to be about tonight is the current weather conditions going on around the country, and we're going to take a look forward about 7 to 10 days. I don't like to forecast beyond 7 days because things often change. I will look ahead beyond 7 days, 14 days, even 21 days. But forecasting wise, it is wiser to stay at 7 weeks, 7 days, or less because things always change. Weather is always changing. So, but before we get started, go ahead and hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed. Go ahead and share it for me. That would be awesome with your family and friends and loved ones, neighbors, whoever you have around you. Share this channel with them. Go ahead and comment, like, and hit the notification bell so you know when my next video is coming out, because that really helps me. I'm actively working on growing my channel. This is something that I love to do, and all of those things really help me out. So let's go ahead and get started with the temperatures around the country tonight. Now, as you can see, we're going to start down here in Florida. Down in the Keys, you're looking at 62 degrees, which is a little on the chilly side for you all. It is early February, but that's still pretty chilly. And the whole state of Florida is pretty chilly and has been chilly or downright cold over the past couple weeks. Now, as you head north, it does stay around in the 30s, and then it starts to get colder as we head into North Carolina, where the 20s are present, also present in the 20s and around 30 in Tennessee and Kentucky, 20s, and then you head up here and you get into Ohio and you get into the teens, and then you head over this way into the Northeast and you get into the low teens and the single digits with a -7 all the way up here in Northeast Maine. Now, as we travel back this way, somebody's reporting some mixed precipitation here this has just been reported just now. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at the radar from around here to see if it can give me some. It's not really very light precipitation. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. It's very light. And I'm going to go ahead and animate this really quickly to see these really light echoes around in here. I mean, there's not where this, it's very light wintry mixed precipitation. So that's what's going on there. Zoom out a little bit and turn off the radars. Now we go over here to Michigan, and as you can see, the temperatures are below freezing. However, there are reports of freezing drizzle up here into central Michigan. And so that means there's a warm layer, a shallow warm layer just above the surface where the air temperature is below freezing, but it hits that warm layer and it turns to rain. And then the surface is still below freezing. So when it hits the surface, it freezes. And that's what freezing rain is. So that's what's happening. Freezing drizzle is not fun. It coats things and it makes it difficult to drive or to walk around or do anything. So hopefully that comes to an end soon, but that's what's being reported in central lower Michigan right now. And there's not a whole lot going on outside of these couple of reports here in Minnesota. There's some rain being reported because, as you can see, the temperatures are above freezing until you get up into the northern parts of Minnesota. There's a snow report here, but some rain, and there's some southwesterly winds that I will show you in a minute that is coming ahead of our next system that's going to be coming through here this weekend over to the east. And as we continue to head west, it's cold, but not that cold. I mean, 44 degrees. I will also show you how warm it was today in Montana. I talked about this yesterday. The warmth was surging in the middle of the country, bringing in 50s and 60s all the way up into Montana. And that did happen today. As we continue to head west, we are seeing 30s, and there's a 48 out here on the coast, the northwest coast of Washington State. And then you head down into California, you're in the 50s, and then you get all the way up to 61 down here in San Diego, 68 towards Phoenix. And Texas, you are getting in on the chilly air too. It is chillier than normal, than you would probably like to see this time of year. You're bundling up a little bit for all you Texans who usually have that Texas heat. You have 55 down here in Brownsville, 52 in Amarillo, and some 40s scattered in here, 54 in Dallas. So it's on the chillier side. And then, of course, up here in Colorado, it's below freezing in the mountains and then a little bit warmer towards the plains of Colorado. So it's not super cold around until you get over here into the Northeast. Then that's where the cold is. All right, let's jump now to what is happening currently with all the watches, warnings, and advisories around the country. Out west here, this is a freezing fog advisory. There is some fog going on. We do have another fog advisory up here for central eastern Washington state, and a special weather statement here, which is going to be for fog. This is my neck of the woods, and it's just been off and on foggy, above average temperatures, and just sort of blah here for a while. We have some wind advisories here into far eastern North Dakota and far northwestern Minnesota. And then, of course, there's some winter weather advisories for Michigan, and that covers that freezing drizzle that I was just talking about. Now you come over here, and this is extreme cold watch. This is in anticipation of that very cold air that's going to be filtering down from Canada starting over the weekend. Now, this will turn into warnings here tomorrow because it will be within that 24-hour window. So these are just watches right now. And we have a winter storm warning for West Virginia, and then a high wind watch for Delaware into the eastern shore and lower eastern shore of Maryland as well, and parts of New Jersey. Also into southwestern Virginia and western North Carolina, you have a high wind watch as well. Now I will show this to you in a minute. That's because of a system that is going to swing through, bring a little bit of snow, and then once it gets off the coast, it is just going to start to deepen. Pressure is going to fall, winds are going to come up, and it's just going to create that wind here on the coast that I talked about yesterday. And as you can see, we have some storm warnings and gale warnings and heavy freezing spray warnings for the ocean here too, because it's going to be cold. Behind that system, it's going to catch up to the system. That cold air is going to swing down from Canada and just get right behind it. And so whatever spray pops up, it is going to be freezing spray because the temperature is going to be below freezing. Okay, so we're going to head over right now to the satellite imagery. And this is that one system that is going to be heading out this way. I will show that to you in a moment. And it'll be replaced by another system coming down here tomorrow, and especially on Saturday. Oh, we can really see the Finger Lakes here in New York on the satellite imagery. That's kind of cool. That just caught my eye. And then, as I mentioned, we have these southwesterly winds coming up into Michigan, which is pretty much why that warmer layer is apparent and why that freezing drizzle is falling, because of these southwest winds. And they're turning more westerly winds now, but that's pretty much why there's been some rain being reported here too. But as you can see up here into Canada, these are the cold winds that are going to be flooding down into this area over the weekend. Now, as you look from about Minnesota and northern or central North Dakota and all the way down and over towards the west, it's clear. It's nice and clear until you get to California, this is just a little bit of clouds and perhaps a little bit of rain, but very light rain here that's going on just east of San Diego into Arizona. But this whole area is nice and quiet, and I will show you that's where this high pressure is and has continued to be for a while. Now, this is a very neat perspective, and my weather nerdy self loves these kind of things. I'm going to animate this. This is the low pressure system that I just talked about. I'm going to pull this over a little bit. Just talked about. That's off the coast here. That's heading this way. And then this is the next system that's going to bring down some snow, some light snow. And then up here is where this cold air is coming behind it. So let's animate this really quickly. This will go out till about Saturday evening, where that first bunch of cold air will come through Saturday morning, and then it'll be reinforced again Saturday night into Sunday morning. But you can see this system pulling through. This is the one right here that's going to bring in some snow, light snow for this area. And then this is when this cold air comes behind it and also brings the wind, and which is why there's a high wind watch for this area that will turn into high wind warnings here by tomorrow at some point, tomorrow afternoon at some point. As you can see, this is where the winds pick up. These isobars are pretty tightly packed. And then these orangey colors are the cold air that just filters all the way down. Northerly winds, and then we start over. Northerly winds all the way down into Florida. So you all are going to see some colder air yet again down into Florida. But as this stays under a high pressure system, there's not going to be a whole lot that happens except for this weekend in Washington State, the Pacific Northwest, into Idaho, and then Montana, and then filtering down into here. There will be, let me animate this again. You'll see this change a little bit because there's going to be some rain pretty much from Saturday into Sunday for the Pacific Northwest. Now this is tomorrow. You see it start to break down. Some low pressure gets a little bit cooler. And I said off and on cool versus warm temperatures in Montana. That's still going to be the case for a little bit. This is Saturday. And we see a little bit of a change here in the Pacific Northwest where there will be some rain that starts to move into the area. And then is going to be pretty much with this area throughout the entire weekend. So that's what is going on as far as that is concerned. And I just love watching these kinds of maps. So now let's go over to, this is the European model. This is that low pressure system that I was just telling you about. And we're going to take a little ride with this. This is the colder air that is helping to push this out to sea. And then this is the other system that is swinging down, and it's going to bring in that light snow that I talked about. Not going to be much, but it is going to be there. And then behind it is that really cold air. And once see how this low pressure popped here, and then it pops off the coast here, and then it really starts to wind up. I don't think you can see. Let's see. Bring this over here. There we go. This is the low pressure right here that pops off the coast, and you see that wind and that really cold air with that high pressure behind it. So the skies will begin to clear, but it's just going to get cold. And so as I keep going, this is Saturday morning. It's going to be windy all day Saturday for you all, which is why that, like I said, that high wind watch, which will turn into a high wind warning by tomorrow. And then this is Sunday. Things start to relax finally on Sunday. And then we will build back up with a little bit above average temperatures or around average temperatures into Tuesday of next week. And then another system looks like it's going to come through pretty light. This is Wednesday of next week, which is 6 days from now. But I'm going to back up a little bit so I can focus now in on the West Coast, and we can talk a little bit about that as well, because I only have 2 eyeballs. Okay, so here we go with that. As you can see, this high pressure continues to be persistent out here in the west. It has really meandered not too far away from Colorado for several weeks now. Actually, I should be making my pointer go this way because that's how the winds go. They go in a clockwise fashion with a high pressure. So it meanders around, but then this weekend, this is Saturday morning, early Saturday morning, Friday night into Saturday morning, that rain comes into the Pacific Northwest, which will be welcomed because it hasn't really rained too much, and snow in the mountains, higher elevations at first, but then they will be lowering, and all of the Cascade Mountains will see some snow. Some snow up into around the Canadian border in northeast Washington and to North Idaho. And then we do see some snow come to the higher peaks into Montana. And then, of course, we see some snow or some rain into Oregon as well, with some mixed precipitation in the higher elevations. And this is going all the way through Sunday. And then this system helps to make the air cool down enough to bring snow to lower elevations in western Montana, which is going to be a welcome sight. And then this also moves into Wyoming, into Idaho, and then it just gets really scattered from that point. And then we do have a system that comes into California as well, into Nevada, bringing snow to the higher elevations of Nevada. And this is what is really going to help with Utah's snow totals as well, because their snow totals have been pretty poor also, very poor. And looks like there's going to be some good snow here into Wyoming. This is through Tuesday and into the Rockies of Colorado. So that's going to be welcome news for you all there. So that is through about Wednesday, 6 days from now. That is good news. We have a little bit of a breakdown. As you can see, the amplification sort of lowers and goes through Colorado, and some cooler air is going to filter back down, but it's not going to be super active past the weekend. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday timeframe up here in the Pacific Northwest, you are looking at some quieter weather, but I am sure and I'm pretty positive it's going to be overcast weather with some fog and some blah, like it's been pretty much all winter except for a few times. So now we're going to travel over to the temperatures. This is from today. As you can see, we had a surge of 50s and 60s up all the way up into Montana, the center part of the country. I talked about this yesterday, the center part of the country from Texas. And it's not like it was super warm down here and it got cooler as you go north. It stayed pretty uniform. 62 in central Texas, 64 up in South Dakota, 56 up in Montana. So 61 in Nebraska, Colorado border. So it was pretty much very uniform temperature-wise in the center part of the country. So that was today. And then this is as we look, 65 degrees down in south central Montana, and then 67 down here into Texas. So it was pretty consistent throughout. So now we go through, this is during the day. This is going to be during the day on Friday. But you see over here where these purples are starting to come in. And that is going to help bring in that cold, cold air into the Northeast. You see Texas is going to be pretty warm on Friday and to Saturday. And now this cold air comes in. It's looking pretty cold for you guys, especially just right around in here up into the Northeast. Eastern Michigan, down through West Virginia, a little bit of Virginia, Maryland, and then up into the Northeast. That's where most of the cold is going to be. And then by Wednesday, you still have a little bit on Monday. It starts to retreat. It retreats a bit on Monday, and then it gets really warm here in Texas. And then it pretty much moves up into the very northeastern part of the country by Tuesday and Wednesday. And then we start to see it flip-flop a little bit where we get some cooler temperatures here. This is Wednesday, February 11th. We get some colder temperatures here, and I imagine some snow is going to be coming in with that, which is going to be welcomed. So I will applaud that. And then like I showed before, that little bit of a flip-flop where colder air filters down into the northwest, and then we will have a warmer weather staying farther to the south, and then again another cold pocket up here in the northeast. So that is temperature wise. Now this I love. This is another. It shows it sort of globally, like all of North America, and then I'm just going to quickly go through, and you see how that colder air sort of pops off the Arctic and just heads south, because that's the way the jet stream has been going so far this winter. And we're 2/3 of the way through winter. Meteorological winter ends on March 1st. So we're in our last month, if you can believe it, of meteorological winter. So then it starts to retreat finally on, this is Wednesday, but as I mentioned before, those colder temperatures do sneak in down here into the Pacific Northwest, the inland Northwest, and the Mountain West for early into mid next week. So really quickly too, we're going to take a look at the winds. This is the whole North America situation. This is that low pressure system that will beeline out of here, and then this is the next one that pops off the coast and then creates that really windy situation for Saturday and Sunday for the East Coast, the Mid-Atlantic, and into the little bit of the Northeast. And behind it, just that really cold, high pressure system that will get rid of all the clouds, but it's going to be cold for a few days. So this is a really fun map that I love looking at, because I just love looking at maps. And there you have it, guys. That is going to be it for the next 5 to 7 days. And in my next video, we're going to take a look at the actual snow cover for the western states and snow reports and what that means for spring runoff. I know where I am, there's a lake really close to me, and it's a river that has been dammed at both ends, or two different ends, and so we call it a lake. And so they lower it and then raise it depending on the time of year. And normally this time of year they start to think about lowering it because of the spring runoff, but there has not been very much snow at all for this whole area in the Pacific Northwest, inland Northwest, and to the Mountain West and all of those areas. Not much snow at all. So they're not going to lower the river at all this year because of that. And so what does that mean for springtime, for potentially this summer and things like that? So I will be getting into all of those sort of things in my next video, or if not my next video, then within the next couple weeks, I will be getting into that. So thanks again for watching. I will keep reporting and keep updating about all of this going on. And yeah, this is Kate Weatherwise saying bye for now.